Imagine being alone at home. The silence around you is deafening. And then suddenly, you realize you're not alone. Welcome to Scarier Things, where we dive deep into the abyss of true horror stories. Today, we bring you 4 disturbing true home alone stories that will send chills down your spine. These are not just any stories. These are scary true stories that have happened to real people when they were home alone. From the unnerving encounters with a true stalker to the inexplicable events that can't be rationalized, these tales are a stark reminder that sometimes reality can be scarier than fiction. So, brace yourself as we journey through these true scary stories, each one more disturbing than the last. Remember, these are not for the faint-hearted. Prepare for some chilling scares as we delve into the world of horror stories. Story number 1. At 23 years old, still living with my parents, I had a chilling encounter that I won't soon forget. It was a day like any other. My parents were out, and I was outside shooting hoops in our front yard. That's when I glanced up at one of the upstairs windows and saw a woman standing there. A stranger, not my mom or sister. As soon as she noticed me noticing her, she vanished from view. Upon investigating the house, I scoured every room, closet, and even the basement. But there was no sign of her. Opening the last closet door filled me with dread, but it turned out to be empty, save for coats and hangers. Confused and shaken, I screamed for the intruder to leave, prompting a concerned neighbor to come over and assist in the search. Despite our efforts, the woman was nowhere to be found, leading me to believe she had slipped out through the back door, which I had inadvertently left unlocked while retrieving the basketball. After securing the house and notifying my parents, I tried to put the incident behind me, but sleep proved elusive as my mind raced with apprehension. In the dead of night, I was jolted awake by strange noises, and to my horror, I found the same woman emerging from under my bed. Reacting instinctively, I tackled her and demanded to know her identity, only to be met with resistance and scratches that left lasting scars. Thankfully, my neighbor's timely arrival allowed us to subdue the intruder until the police arrived. It turned out she was a known individual with a history of troubling behavior, fittingly named Karen. Seeing her taken away brought a sense of closure, and despite lingering unease, I felt a strange satisfaction knowing she was no longer a threat. Reflecting on the ordeal, I couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability that comes with a home invasion, but I also found solace in the support of my neighbor and the swift response of law enforcement. It was a night of terror, but also a testament to the strength of community in times of crisis. Story number 2. I'm 30 years old and I live in a 2-story house with my sister. Our setup is like a mother-daughter house, with each of us having our own kitchen. My sister occupies the downstairs while I reside upstairs. Typically, my sister isn't home much since she spends a lot of time at her boyfriend's place, which is about 20 miles away. Although I'm in my 30s, being alone at home sometimes still gets to me, especially on nights like the one I'm about to describe. It was a typical evening. I found myself alone in the living room, engrossed in a scary movie. My part of the house has an open layout, with the living room, dining room, and kitchen blending seamlessly into one large space. As I sat on the couch facing the TV, a considerable portion of the room lay behind me, creating an unsettling atmosphere for those easily spooked. Admittedly, even I found myself glancing over my shoulder from time to time, despite my age. After the movie, I followed my usual bedtime routine, turning off all the lights before heading to sleep. However, my rest was short-lived as I woke up around 1 a.m. to the sound of a voice downstairs. It sounded like my sister, and the fact that the voice was inside the house puzzled me, since she didn't need to call for me to open the door. Groggy and disoriented, I stumbled out of bed and into the dimly lit hallway. As I made my way downstairs, my sister's voice became clearer, seemingly calling my name. Responding in confusion, I searched for the light switch in the foyer, but my grogginess made it challenging to locate. Despite my apprehension, I pressed on, determined to find the source of the voice. Eventually, I managed to illuminate the kitchen, revealing no sign of my sister or her boyfriend. I checked her bedroom, only to find it empty. Confused and increasingly unnerved, I called out her name, receiving no response. Strangely, I heard a noise emanating from her room moments after I yelled, despite having confirmed its vacancy seconds prior. Feeling like a child spooked by the dark, I retreated to my room, attempting to reach my sister via phone to no avail. Locked in my room, I questioned whether my experience was merely a hallucination induced by fatigue. Morning brought texts from my sister questioning my late-night calls, confirming that she had been staying at her boyfriend's house. Curiosity led me back downstairs to investigate the noise I heard, only to find no evidence of anything amiss. Despite wanting to dismiss the events as a figment of my imagination, the vividness of my sister's voice and the inexplicable sound in her room continued to haunt me. Growing up, I was accustomed to being home alone due to my mom's demanding work schedule and my brother's absence at college. This particular night, my mom was working overnight, leaving me to entertain a friend, Molly, who eventually departed, leaving me alone once again. Story number 3. We were a family of 5, and I was just 10 years old at the time. It was a typical Friday night, and my older brother, who was 14, was out with his friends, causing mischief as usual. Suddenly, my mom's distressing cries pierced the air, and I rushed to find out what was happening. She was on the phone with the hospital, learning that my brother had been hit by a car. The news shook us all to the core. My brother's leg was broken, but thankfully, he would recover fully. However, in the chaos of the moment, my parents had to rush to the hospital, leaving me alone at home with my 5-year-old sister. Despite my worries for my brother, I didn't want to visit the hospital and witness his pain. I sensed my mom's panic, but my dad's attempt to reassure her gave me some comfort. Left alone in the house, I distracted myself with a Star Wars video game, trying to push away the fear and uncertainty. Hours passed, and the house remained eerily silent. As midnight approached, I decided to turn off the TV and console, retreating to bed with my Game Boy. However, when I heard the front door creak open, my senses heightened. With my bedroom door shut, I strained to hear my parents' voices or any familiar sounds, but there was only silence. Unease gnawed at me, and when I cautiously peeked into the living room, I was met with the chilling sight of 3 unfamiliar figures. Panic seized me, and I retreated to my room, hiding in the closet. Heart pounding, I huddled behind boxes and bags, hoping to escape notice. My fear peaked when I heard footsteps entering my room, followed by the unsettling sensation of someone touching my bed cover. As the closet door creaked open, I held my breath, praying not to be discovered. The seconds stretched into an agonizing eternity before the intruder finally left. Hours passed before my parents returned, finding the front door ajar and our belongings stolen. It was a nightmarish ordeal that left our family shaken. Reflecting on the events, I couldn't help but wonder if the intruder had seen me hiding in the closet, or if I had narrowly escaped a much worse fate. The experience served as a stark reminder of the dangers lurking beyond our front door and the importance of staying vigilant, even in the safety of our own home. Story number 4. Continuing to watch TV in my room, I suddenly heard the scraping sound of a chair being dragged across the deck outside. Startled, I peered out the window to investigate and saw a figure sitting on one of the deck chairs below. Initially, I called out Molly's name, assuming it was her since she had left not long ago. However, the person who looked up at me wasn't Molly, and I didn't recognize them in the darkness. Feeling the surge of fear, I retreated from the window and texted my friends to see if they were pranking me, but they all denied involvement. Terrified yet curious, I cautiously returned to the window and saw the person still sitting there, clearly aware of my presence. They seemed male, and our eyes met, sending a chill down my spine. Quickly turning off the TV, I huddled in bed, trying to make myself invisible. I dared not even glance at my phone screen or move, fearing detection through the open window. After what felt like an eternity, I gathered the courage to peek out again, hoping the person had left. To my horror, they were still there, seemingly amused by the situation. Summoning my bravery, I asked them what they wanted, but their response was unsettling. A wheezing laughter accompanied by a strange whistling sound. I pleaded with them to leave before retreating to the safety of my room. Fearing to involve the police, I sat at the top of the stairs, listening anxiously as the back door was tampered with. Panic set in when the intruder attempted to enter the house, but thankfully, they soon gave up. Locking my bedroom window and curtains, I realized the gravity of the situation. I could have been in grave danger. Too frightened to leave my room until my mom returned the next morning, I confessed everything to her. Her anger at my failure to call 911 emphasized the severity of the situation. Reflecting on that harrowing night, I questioned my decisions as a young teenager, realizing the importance of taking action in moments of peril. It was a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of being home alone, and a night I would never forget.